Hey everyone, welcome to episode 12 of How I Tank. Hate to disappoint you guys, but today just Gryphius Spaghetti is off being fat. Doing what fat people do. Of course I kid, he's not very fat at all, but he's busy today, so yeah, I apologize. You'll have to deal with a single commentary. So today we have JPH91's E50 gameplay on this map. I think it's Ruinberg, right? That sounds right. Anyway, taking, of course, the standard route for mediums, at least as far as I can discern, the standard route. Always a good idea. We talked about this before. You always want to go here to have something to sort of cut off the enemy and flank if possible. And this position works out pretty well for him as the video goes on. Well, as the replay goes on, you know what I mean. Okay, so he gets into his initial spot to engage anything coming up the route here. He does a decent job of angling his armor, maybe a little too far. You don't want to expose too much side when you peek around those corners. But E50 armor is actually pretty decent, so keep it in mind. You can angle armor, and you can bounce quite a bit in this tank if you didn't know that already. Let's see, so, not a whole lot to say here. He's just kind of waiting as the Hummel spams E0 and J0. I think I'll run into a couple tanks soon enough here. 1375 joining the fray. And again, I think this illustrates a decent facet of World of Tanks, which is that patience is a virtue. Had he rushed out there, he'd be in a much worse position, but he found the C54. The C54 driver isn't too good. I'm going to say he is either just unaware of armor or is not very situationally aware, because he exposes a good deal of side to JPH here, which gives him some pretty easy to pen shots. Also, you notice he did that quick camera flip around when Second was behind him. He saw it was a VK2801, which he decided to engage, which is definitely a good idea, because unchecked, that light tank could potentially get into the base and wreak havoc on their artillery. And in the meantime, I think it's safe to leave that T-54 to be at least delayed by his teammates, so nothing to lose by engaging the 2801. Looks like he decides to come back though, which is fine. The 2801 gets taken out. Ammo racks Type 59. Always nice to see those Chinese imitation tanks explode like that. Also incredibly easy to ammo rack. Literally the entire tank is just ammunition. They try to put an engine in there somewhere. Alright, so that T-54 is getting swarmed. He's going to shoot this bad shad coming down here. Again, very good situational awareness. He doesn't go tunnel vision. He's, aware of what the enemy team is doing around him, where they're going, what poses the most immediate threat. And he got 2 good shots off on that bad shad, dropping it to sub 200 health. And, I don't know how this happened, but the bad shad died. I didn't see if he got lit on fire. I don't think he did, because I didn't hear the voice prompt. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, this is the Starcraft voice pack that Smig and I assembled. There'll be a link in the video description if you guys are interested in picking it up. Alright, so T20, this is really an unfair engagement for that T20. He can't do a whole lot. Gets blown up. So JPH advances here. The game's looking pretty even so far. In fact, it was tied 8-8 until just recently. Alright, so JPH decides to make a move. Certainly a good idea. There are always times that call for pushing. Can't always camp. Alright, so he's got a Hummel and an E50. The Hummel's not looking at him, but it's good to take those things out. Unchecked, again, Hummels can cause quite a bit of damage, as can any artillery piece, if you let them fire into you even once. And just the same, the battle's pretty even, so, had that Hummel been alive, it's possible that he could have turned the tide of this battle. Maybe not a Hummel, but, artillery in general, good to focus first. This E50, will go down in due time, especially with all this team help that our E50 is getting here. Alright, so being smart, going for the lower glacis. Doesn't work out for him there, and he'll bounce off it a couple times, but keep in mind, guys, that lower glacis shots on the E50, you know, they don't always go through. It's more likely to go through there than the upper glacis or the turret. And right here he makes a good choice, but something I see a lot of people ignore, actually. The sides of the turret of this tank, and along with the King Tiger E75 and ASUS B, are all very weak. So if you ever see a decent amount of side turret at all, go ahead and take that shot, because you'll probably get through it. So it takes out the E50 with a finishing lower glacis shot. I would have gone for the turret myself, but it worked out for him, so I can't complain. Decides to capture. Not a bad idea, considering the rest of the tanks are pretty slow, except for that 704. Shooting a Panther. That's a little risky, I think, to peek out and take that shot, especially when it has 410 health, because that's above the E50's average damage. Fortunately, he had that T44 behind him to finish it off, but had it not been there, it's likely that the Geopanther would have gotten a shot off. And those things can hurt. Pro tip, by the way, artillery hurts. Alright, so it looks like a pretty easy capture so far, but let's see, the 704, T95 actually, and the E100 coming down that way. I think the 704 shows up here in a bit. T44 was being a little silly. He was out in the open where he could have gotten shot. If you guys really want to cap, the best thing to do is just try and stay cover from as many routes as possible. Alright, so T44 blows up. And this fight I think he handles very well. So he runs at the 704, but not straight on. He provides a bit of an armor angle, you know, which will always help. BL-10 is pretty scary, but he gets a good track shot off too. Very good move. Gets right up on him, sandwiches between the building and, well, not so much anymore, but really prevents the 704 from doing anything. So he'll go down pretty easy. Very well handled. Moving on to engage the E100. He waits a little too long on that side turret shot, and you know what I would have done, because the E100 is rotating his turret around, is I would have waited to shoot the rear of the turret, which he does now. Had he waited like a half second or a second longer than that first shot, he would have had an opportunity to make that same shot again, rather than bounce off the side. Takes a bit of a panic shot at the turret front. No problem there. He backs off in time to save himself from the wrath of the kind of underwhelming E100 gun. Actually, that thing's penetration is pretty bad. I don't like it a whole lot.
That's what I thought.
Turret side shot. Certainly a decent idea with a gun that like the E50's gun, which has, I don't actually know how much penetration off the top of my head, but it's certainly decent enough to get through the E100's 150mm side plate on the turret. So anyway, here they're in a bit of a situation. It's a T44 and an E50 versus an E100, but the E100 is really in a bad spot here, which is, you know, capitalized on by the good teamwork here. The T44 is going to come around as Ingo, Ingo commands our E50 to wait for the T44. To which he responds, affirmative, very good. Although I must say it annoys me when people try and take control of the battle, calling out obvious things, but... Anyway, so T44 spots the E100. JPH uses his camera pretty well here to sort of peek around the corner, and he checks to see where the E100 is actually aiming. So as soon as he starts to aim at the T44, JPH pops out, takes shot at the turret rear, and moves on to engage him. Or maybe not actually. He disappears behind some kind of cover. Who knows what? Probably the boxes in the middle of the flag. Alright, so it's just him now, but he's got the health to survive 2 shots on the E100. Well, survive 1 and then die on the second, provided that the E100 pens twice. Gets a very good track shot off, and he should have taken a shot at the rear of the tank. I think he went for a bit of a... Yeah, I don't know why I took that turret shot. I would have taken the shot on the rear, because that thing's pretty thin. Get shot, quick turret repair, and for the finish, nets him some ridiculous amount of XP times 5. So I think without that victory bonus, it would have been about 2,400 experience, a little more than that. Anyway, very good game. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry Schmig couldn't make it. I hope you didn't mind, and see you for episode 13.